Herman Mashaba is a 56-year-old resident of Johannesburg, living here in Johannesburg for just under 20 years, but born and brought up in a small village called Garamotse in Amanskraal. Brought up by domestic worker mother, mainly away from home when I was in my formative years, and really living with my sisters.
What was your vision back then?
Well, the thing is, I grew up as a child under apartheid. As you're aware, HF Verwoerd took over power in this country in 1958, and I was born in 1959. So I was born right in the middle of this architect of apartheid. So life in our village, in our community was really rough. In the mid-60s, the political leadership in this country arrested. A lot of our people started leaving the country to go into exile. So, for me, that's, as I was growing up in my formative years, those are the type of stories one began to hear.
Sure, and how did that impact on your childhood?
Well, quite difficult in the sense that I also at the same time, I lost my father when I was 2 years old. So you can imagine you grew up in an environment where there's no mother, there's no father, because my mother was a domestic worker here in Johannesburg, looking after white children and cleaning white homes. In the meantime, I had no one to really look after. Obviously, my sisters were there and really looked after by the community generally. And you grew up actually being angry and with some kind of confusion as to where you'd one day attain your own personal freedom.
And why are you being rejected?
Yeah, in fact, what happened is grew up actually as a youth thinking that one day I will use education as a vehicle to attain my complete freedom. And yes, I was lucky enough that in 1978 passed my matric and went to University of the North in Sovenga, Petersburg. Then you can imagine a university 300 kilometers away, whereas University of Pretoria only 45 minutes away from my village. But unfortunately, as a black South African, you're not allowed to really go to the so-called white university. So I had to go all the way to University of the North. And yes, unfortunately, my academic dream was shattered second year of my studies, because I thought when I was studying that I was one day going to become a political scientist, because I had registered for a B.Admin majoring in political science and public administration.
Mm-hmm. Who would you say were your early childhood mentors, people that you looked up to, that inspired you?
Unfortunately, in our community, really role models were really very scarce. You really grew up, I look at my life generally, I feel I was actually brought up by nature. Mm-hmm. Yes, I had great people around me, but generally people were defeated by the apartheid system because it was a very vicious, evil system that took away the dignity of our people. And that's something I grew up fighting, to really make sure that no one should interfere with my own dignity, because that's the only asset that my grandfather used to really tell me when I was growing up, that I must do everything possible to protect it.
Very powerful, very inspiring words, Herman. I suppose the perfect catalyst for personal development and growth are challenges, because that's when you can emerge as a leader. Tell us about your new journey as the DA mayoral candidate.
Well,
what made you go into politics, Herman?
Well, interesting, something that I never thought I would do. I've been a businessman for over 30 years, and a successful one for that matter, fortunately. This country has been really great to me. Coming from my background, being punished at school because my mother could not afford 25 cents school fees, and really become a successful businessman in this country. I really feel blessed. So this country has been good to me. When I started seeing developments crumbling in this country, ever since Jacob Zuma took over the ANC, I felt at the time that I must be an active member of society. I started engagements through just debates and discourse in political circles. As a successful businessman, I've been known over the last few years in this country and respected as a businessman, as an entrepreneur. And I felt I had a duty to really voice my concern with some of the political direction, particularly on the economic front, things that I was not happy with. And that really then creates a spotlight on you. And resulting in after the 2014 general elections, I took membership of the Democratic Alliance because I voted for the ANC twice in my life, in 1994 and 1999. And since then, I've really been a DA voter. And the reason why I've always deserted ANC, because I realized that this is not an ANC of Mandela any longer. It's an ANC captured by people with self-interest, people with their own personal agendas. And also at the same time for me, of grave concern was their focus on big government, on government really being the driver of everything in our country. And it's been proven internationally. Where you have big governments, governments thinking that they are ones to run the economy, run the lives of people, such governments always fail. They've been failing for the last 2,000 years. And there was just no way that I would really sit back and watch this country being destroyed, didn't be destroyed by people with personal agendas.
What does personal integrity mean to Herman Mashaba?
More than important. I think for me, honesty, integrity, without it, you're dead as a person. I look at my success in business over the last 30 years. To a large extent, people I've done business with, they've done business with me, and they keep doing business with me because they trust me. Because what you see is what you get. I pray every day of my life, and I work hard towards it to ensure that I don't go around misleading people. I'd rather take hard decisions up front, but there's just no way that anyone can one day hold me for misleading them. And I've done this over 30 years in the business world, which is a great, big ingredient for success. But I think we need to really bring that culture of integrity in the political environment. But at the end of the day, the voters out there should be the ones driving this process. What you do, every 5 years, our constitutional framework is such that every 5 years you vote politicians out. So what you do as society, as the voters, when people don't deliver, when people lie to you, please vote them out the next time around.
It was a big pleasure talking to you. Thank you for sharing your vision with us and for going to such detail. And we wish you all the best with the upcoming local elections, Herman. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.